since 1948 in Burma. They have been persecuted, mass killings, rapes, murders, detention, forced land acquisition. And the United Nations and all of the major human rights organizations in the world, they go to the extent of saying that the Rohingya are one of the most persecuted minorities in the whole world.
It wasn't communal violence, it was planned violence.
This confidential internal United Nations report on the 2012 violence. It gathered testimony implicating security, political and religious representatives in the planning and perpetration of the violence.
It is quite clear, according to the testimonies and the people that I talked to while I was on mission in the country, it was clear that all this was organized.
The government of Myanmar wants the world to know the violence that took place in the United States. 12 and since has been spontaneous, communal, or an unintended consequence of democratization.
Because let me tell you, if the Rohingya were the ones perpetrating the violence against the Arakanese, we would know about it. The Security Council would be dealing with it. We know this. This is the double standard which operates in the world in relation to foreign policy.
According to the UN report, there were consistent accounts that Rakhine from other areas were brought in to reinforce local communities prior to attacks.
Transport was arranged to take those who could participate in the massacres. Express buses were organised, refreshments, meals were provided.
The internal UN report cited abuses committed not only by local Rakhine, but also state security forces, including the military, the border forces and the police. The confidential UN document found in just one cluster of villages credible reports of 86 incidents of rape, suggesting a pattern of punitive or reprisal action by state authorities. This evidence is supported by videos smuggled from the region following the later incident.
It's targeted against the Rohingya in a very clear fashion. It's not that anyone in the Rakhine state is being raped, it's that Rohingya women are being targeted.
What happened in Mektela was a targeted attack on Muslims, not Rohingya, but Muslims who had been a part of the community in Mektela.
Most of the killing has been done in the most barbaric way. You know, people haven't got arms as well. And also what's interesting is this is how we know the security forces are in collusion with the Arakanese against the Rohingya Muslims. Why? Because many of the deaths have been from gunshot wounds.
Police and army officers looked on from their vehicles.
Perhaps the strangest and the most revolting part of this massacre was that it was filmed. It was filmed by perpetrators themselves to show how proud they were of what they were doing. You can see police there, present at the scene where people are being killed, and they're armed as police and they're not doing anything. The survivors said that they weren't even sure who they were, all of them, but that a lot of them had identical weapons.
It was clear for me, according to those testimonies, that it was organized. These were people out of the town. They were brought to the area, and suddenly they were asked to start this kind of violence.
The regime of Thein Sein is prepared to use the hate speech for the government's own ends, and that is to marginalise, segregate, diminish the Muslim population inside Burma. It's part of a genocidal process.
This document was sent to local government officers. It shows how the regime contrives to stir up communal tensions. It issued a warning that worshippers at a Yangon mosque planned countrywide communal violence between Muslims and Burmans.
This is absolutely propaganda issued by the state. What these documents speak to is an organised, planned strategy.
When I look at that document, what I see is government officials essentially trying to create a threat where a threat doesn't actually exist. When we see a document like that, we get very concerned that various authorities are working to incite violence against the Muslim population.
This document is all about schooling those soldiers who are going to be spread throughout the country in Islamophobia. It's teaching those soldiers to be racist. It's terrifying, actually, to see it in an official government document because we can well imagine the impact it has on the young recruits, the soldiers who are listening to this PowerPoint presentation.
The document refers to the Rohingya using the Burmese phrase, koto kala.
So the phrase basically means
dirty, stinky Muslims.
In this document, we have a very, very clear example of hate speech in an official document training Burma's military. This document is from the Naypyidaw Divisional Military Headquarters. This is absolutely the responsibility of the military-backed government of Tencent.
There is a strong case to be made that there are political forces at play, state forces at play, fomenting anti-Muslim sentiment, fomenting violence, and in the case of Rohingya, fomenting violence that could amount to the crime of genocide.